I don't know. I
Got the Decorum over there.
Perfect. All right, well, let's start. Go ahead and let that rip.
Later, Chip.
Let's let it chip. All right, everybody will stay for 20 minutes. Hold on 1 second, please, for the sake of the recording.
I don't have my glasses, so it's on the side. Sorry, everybody.
It's on, and then, nope, not yet, I just hit. Good to go. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome, everybody, to a meeting of the Stamford Planning Commission. If you have a matter to discuss that is not included in the agenda, you may do so by addressing the chairperson, which we don't currently, well, we have, but nevertheless, the chairperson is stating your name and address. Call to order. I'd like to do attendance of who's here.
Sheila Lawrence.
Dave Stalder.
Jim Simpson.
Martha Miller, Lisa Grammer.
Peter Greenbush. All right, call to order. We are going to, I think, start right away with a reorganization of the board.
I nominate Pete Greenbush for chair. Second. All in favor?
It's a discussion, isn't it?
Oh,
Yeah.
Discussion, yeah. That's why I waited.
Good for you.
Why isn't Dan here?
Huh?
Why isn't Dan here?
I have no
I
idea.
think he's probably just running late, because I talked to him today and he was coming.
If you would like to wait to see if Dan shows up and push this,
Doesn't matter. If
reorganize.
it goes away, it goes.
I'm sorry, I missed the motion. What was the motion?
I nominate Pete for chair.
And
I
you said
second
it,
it.
and now we discuss. Okay. All right, have you talked to Dan about this at all?
I personally have not.
Yeah.
Eh,
I'm game for anything that the group wants to do, I just feel kind of strange that he's not here, and I'm gonna take him off.
I mean, I'm not gonna speculate like anything, we're just gonna go by what's here, this has been a scheduled meeting, we all know it's a reorganization meeting, I'm not gonna get off task. If Dan shows up, and, I don't know, but we all know that there's a meeting scheduled, we all know that there's reorganization in the first meeting after, everybody knows it, it's been posted. I don't know why he's not here, I'm not gonna speculate, like I said. So, anybody else for discussion?
I'd like to make a motion to postpone until we have a full board.
Or in the discussion part of this, we have to finish the motion.
1, 2.
Make a
Well, we
motion.
have a quorum, so that's considered a board for me.
Aye. I will.
No, I'm just,
I
that's
just put
my
another motion
discussion.
on the table. You
That's
can't
the
vote on it.
motion, you can't say aye.
We can discuss, but I think
Motion's
we
on the
gotta
table.
finish the motion that's already on the table. So,
They're voting.
yep, and
On
so.
what?
Huh?
On what?
On this
Voting on the
nomination.
The nomination for the chair.
There was a nomination for the chair.
Yeah,
Lisa nominated Pete for the chair. It was seconded by Marta.
and we have
It was
discussion.
open for discussion.
Right.
So
And now,
maybe this will enlighten you right here. We'll wait a half a second. to see
instead of
if Dan-
voting, I said, I'd like to make a counter motion.
And
You're allowed to
wait,
second,
wait.
read your chart.
Okay, can I just ask you, waiting for the whole board, like, the teacher would be here and everybody?
No,
Oh, look at who we have here.
right, this is,
First time.
Perfect.
I don't feel comfortable.
Okay.
So you're
Sorry,
gonna
I'm late.
share out.
Yeah, tied up up in the
We
woods,
don't- there's-
running
Uh,
like
you were
crazy,
saying-
trying to get here.
Hey, I'm good.
My whole point is, the organization of the board, organization. He's a smart man, he knows what it means here. If you think we're trying to do some underlying stuff, like that, oh,
After town meeting, all the boards are supposed to,
They're done.
Correct.
Listen,
So, Dan, just to bring
I
up the stuff.
understand the rules,
Yeah,
no problem, all I'm
absolutely.
doing is trying to follow them.
So we started, we called to, well, you're trying to follow them, but you're trying to make another motion on top of the motion that's already been there, so we just gotta get through the initial.
You were
motion.
past the discussion, I had a right round.
You don't have to vote, or you can make an amendment to
Right.
it during the discussion.
So Dan, where we sit currently right now
yeah,
is we did the pledge of allegiance.
Yeah.
We called to order. Immediately, Lisa did a, motion for me to be chair.
yeah.
It was seconded by Marta. We're opening discussion right now. So, this is where we stand. Dave wanted to wait for a whole board.
Amendments, right?
He's making another motion on the table right now to wait for a full board.
You don't need a full board, all you need is a
Quorum.
quorum.
I think actually what I said
Not
is I
being
wanted
here
to wait
really
for.
time.
No, you said, well, we can play back the meeting after, but it
That was
said
the whole
that he
thing.
wanted to wait for a full board.
Okay.
And it's when I responded by simply saying we have a quorum, and we move
I
forward.
stand corrected, if I said that, I meant,
That's
my
fine.
concern was Dan was the chair. and I thought-
So we have discussion now.
So discussion.
I think it's a great idea, I think Pete will keep the meeting short and sweet and keep us in line. Where's my chewing tobacco go?
Probably your truck. So,
Well, let's-
so you're good with the discussion
Yep.
then? Everything's good? Okay, so we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
We're good? Okay, cool. I just want to make sure.
yeah.
All in favor? So I'm going to make a motion for, vice chair for Jim.
I'll second that.
Discussion.
I'm fine with that.
He is from Massachusetts recently, but I still second him.
10 years recently, 9 years, I'm sorry. I want a lot.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Was that
All right,
good?
yep. I'm going to make another motion for Lisa to continue her responsibilities, what is it considered, the clerk,
Secretary.
secretary clerk?
Second?
Discussion.
Did we ever revisit from the last time, bringing Lori back and paying her to allow you to be more active in the group?
We did not.
We ran out of money.
I don't think, are we out of one?
Aren't we, Laurie?
We
We don't
went
have
over.
that extra leftover money from the grant, it would have to just come out of your regular budget.
Do you feel like, I mean, I feel like
You gotta be.
she is an incredibly active member of the board. I mean, do you feel like it needs you? Yeah, okay.
I'm only
Do you-
bringing it up, it's just,
Yeah, do you by any chance feel like she's not able to contribute because of that?
no, she contributes, but a lot of times there's a lot going on amongst the members and she's trying to write it down. It's really hard to get your thoughts and participate when so much activity, so I just,
I always watch it back when I write.
yeah. Well, I know you do, but my point is you should be able to do it during the meeting. And that's just a suggestion to bring Lori back and that would free you up if you're interested.
I like doing it.
Okay.
You're excellent at it.
All right,
Did we go over it?
I think we're at discussion, so we just want to do it all in favor.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. It was first,
I think Dan seconded. Who seconded?
Dan.
I motion, he second. All right, I think that covers that. We will have to figure out what we're gonna do with your key or how, we have to re-sign that.
Laurie, how's that work?
So the chair of every board receives the key. So if you're no longer chair, you would really push it back to me, I'll cross you off the list, and then the key will go.
It's wrong.
$1,000 if you lose these.
Unless my truck gets stolen. I'm not losing it.
Super
I give them back to you, and then all you gotta do is fill out the
I'll see
paperwork
you
that I
on
did.
Tuesday. I'll see you tomorrow, or whenever the next day is. Maybe Thursday, cause you're over later.
We have papers for you to sign.
Perfect. Alrighty, let's get into, I think that covers everything, we correct. Moving forward, we'll get into the hearing of visitors. We will allow 5 minutes per visitor, per topic. Please be respectful of any discussion. If you have any visitors that would like to speak. Actually, you know what? Let's do attendance for the visitors, please. If you could state your name for the record, just for the minutes.
Doug Gray?
And something. Lori Shepherd.
Perfect. Thank you very much for that. Should have done that first. Do we have any visitors? Questions for that? Everybody's good? Perfect. Reading and approval of the records and meeting minutes for February 10th, 2025.
Does anyone need a copy to look at? Sorry. I have a copy.
That's all done.
I read them in-
I'm good, I
It's the
need
same
motion to
paper.
approve.
Yeah, I read them on that.
Second.
Is that okay with everyone if I continue to email it, just to save paper, and then you have it
Yes.
and,
Yes.
I'm good with it.
you know, sit here and read it now?
Yeah,
Kind of quickens things here, once if we can read it
Yeah,
before we get
okay, good.
Perfect.
because you can't.
so I think
So we have
Dan,
we have a motion.
Dan moved
I
to
second.
accept.
Who's the second?
I'll second.
Perfect.
This is the second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Oh, I thought that's a bell.
I'm sorry about that.
We could
Thank
accept
you.
that as a point of order or something. That's different.
All right, let's get into discussion,
Toes.
the meeting decorum and rules.
Okay, I'd like to start, if
Yep.
that's okay.
Absolutely.
I actually received more than one complaint after our last meeting. Just I received the complaints, so I don't know who else is receiving them. Largely about the cross yelling and the language.
I'm guilty of the crochet one.
And also like just foul language. We really need to
And I don't-
just step up our game a little bit with that. And on that note, I know some people have been on these boards forever. But I did include Robert's rules because Jim did bring up at the select board that he wanted to go over rules. So I don't know, Jim, if you wanna say more on that, but this is mostly for us to read these. It's all the proper steps of Robert's rules. I know we don't follow it to the letter, but for anybody that doesn't know the steps, we have it.
I like it.
If everybody's,
Good reminder.
everybody in here has seen Robert's rules. And this is a very simplified, section out of Robert's rules.
I did
and
a
we can
visual one
add-
in case.
Yeah,
love
that's
that.
perfect. But we can add and subtract to these rules for ourselves, that kind of personalize it if we want. So if anybody's got any ideas, let us know now and we can implement these. But, every board in this town has to have, a set of rules. It's the law, period. So, we're just following the law and we're doing what we're supposed to do.
I mean, I feel like we don't have to follow all the formal
No.
language that's in here exactly,
Well, what are the key points? And so we understand what the plan
The
contention is.
guiding principles at the top, I really wanted to talk about because it's the right for everyone to participate in the discussion, and I'm not calling anyone out here, but some people are louder than other people. And so people who have quieter voices don't always get heard if it gets, a topic that
Well, some people get shut down.
some people shut down,
No, some people get shut down.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Did you watch the last meeting?
So everyone has the right to participate, okay? And the part where anyone may speak a second time, if you give the right to other people to speak. So if Sheila has something to say, and then Dave, we can't go back and forth between the two of them. Everybody gets their chance to say it, or say Sheila gets to speak on the matter again,
Everybody uses my name as an example, like I was the last
Just
one.
looking at you,
Do we raise hands?
Wasn't the greatest.
that's
Be
up to us,
called on?
we can decide on that.
Everything
You
goes
feel
through,
uncomfortable?
officially, everything goes through the
I
chair.
just missed what you just said, so I didn't hear it, so I apologize.
I said, it's just like the other night's meeting, select board meeting.
Okay.
Sheila got the sample and Sheila got
Oh, no,
aced all
it's
over.
just,
Well, no, I just wanted to make sure
I'm just
that I didn't
making
miss
a
something.
sample, because I was looking right at you, there's nothing
As long as
personal.
it's
One of the
nice,
things,
and it's not all this
So
one of the
however
things
you
I
have-
just
thing
want
like she did
to
that night.
throw in
I'm
here
okay.
as a member of this specific board, and not necessarily, I mean, to me, it's more of just mutual respect. I would like people to not engage in conversation that is belittling, talking to somebody almost down, like we may not be as educated as somebody else. I wanna have open discussion and I wanna discuss things, but I don't want there to be that almost like condescending and like, just, it doesn't need to be this way. Like, let's have open discussion, let's discuss something, let's put a valid point if Lisa has a valid point, if Sheila's got a valid point, you have a valid point, and let's discuss it. Let's not belittle the person that maybe I don't have the information that you may have or that you may have, but I would like to be able to have that conversation and more being an instructional conversation as opposed to a degrading competition. And I think we get away from that sometimes. I think we all have the same goal. I truly do. Regardless if we see eye to eye or not, I think we all have the same goal. I think we all have the same vision. We just need to get on the same page. That's all I'll say.
Do you wanna give me an example of that, because I'm not really sure.
There is no specific example. I just want conversation to be educational. It is not directed towards one person. I'm not picking a specific scenario. I'm just saying, like, if I bring something up, I don't wanna tell it to you and come at you like you're not smart enough to understand what I was saying, or maybe you don't understand, but I'm also like, again, just, it comes across as a talk down, and if I'm saying it to Jim, or Jim's saying it to me, or whatever the case may be. No examples, I have nothing to say about anybody. To me, it's moving forward. We're here today, let's move forward from anything that's happened in the past. If there's something that needs to be addressed, we can leave it for open discussion. We can have a conversation about it as adults and move forward.
So just to be clear on this, the last meeting, I tried to bring in examples that you asked me to bring in, and I got shut down. Not only by Dan, but by the rest of the board. And all I was trying to do was explain what he asked me to bring. So-
I don't think the rest of the board shut you down. The rest of the board just went with the chair. And the chair said that he was moving forward, and without, I remember correctly, and I don't want to misspeak, but I think he said, show me the laws, or I don't want to hear it.
I had the
And
laws.
so, which is fine. Again, I don't want to rehash.
We don't have to rehash it, but my only
Moving forward.
point, it's
Moving forward.
important when you're making statements about past, what things have been done in the past. Let's be clear and honest what went on so that we can move forward correctly.
Yeah,
Not just your perception. I
I'm
disagree with a
not-
lot of things that you said. I don't find only maybe a couple people trying to degrade other people on this board. I certainly have never tried to degrade anybody, but maybe that's
Again,
a perception.
I think, yeah, and I don't have.
And I
that
apologize
perception.
if that ever happened.
Again, I apologize if I've taken anybody out of context or if I've been rude to anybody. Again, moving forward, we are going to have conversation as adults. We are gonna discuss topics that are on the agenda. We are gonna stay on topic and we are gonna move forward. I'm not gonna deal with yelling. I don't think anybody wants to hear it. I got enough stress in my life. Y'all got enough stress in your life. I think we need to get to the point at hand and move forward. Okay?
Listen, I totally
Open,
agree.
honest discussion.
And
That's
if all the boards would follow the same thing, it'd be a lot easier, especially with the
I mean, I
select
know
board.
the select board is also discussing this very topic, so.
I was trying to say something, I don't want to talk, go ahead.
I wasn't at your last meeting, but I had heard complaints of swearing in foul language. I haven't seen it, I wasn't here, but.
I didn't.
It's
I
just
don't
not,
think that
we have to
there was a-
remember,
I don't remember anything
I don't
other than
think
Jim telling me
we
he swear or
swearing.
something.
no, there was.
Oh, yeah, you said something.
There was, yes,
I
but
never swore at
Oh, yeah.
Either way, I
Take a look
totally
at it.
understand that regardless of what has transpired in the past, moving forward, this is going to be the way things run. And again, it's just, we have to stay on task, and let's do that.
Let's keep the audience in mind too, you know what I mean, it's not just us, it's
Absolutely.
them,
Perfect, all right, let's do
and
that.
anyone that watches it.
So, just one quick thing on the Robert Rules of Order. You're gonna allow people to speak when, and we're gonna keep order. You as the chair,
There's your topic, we're gonna keep order. We're not gonna talk over everybody, we're not gonna be arguing and yelling and screaming.
Perfect.
Not even saying that this has happened in the past, I'm just simply saying that this is the way we're going to do it moving forward.
So we can hold you to it.
You can hold me to it, everyone.
I'm game, I think it's
My
great.
wife holds me to a lot tougher things, whether or not somebody has the right to say something to me.
Welcome,
So,
Lila.
go ahead, Lori, or Lori, Lisa.
Okay, everyone has the right to know what is going on at all times. I won't go back to the past either, but let's just make sure everyone is understanding what's being said. And if you can't hear it, you have the right to say and get it repeated. Or if you missed it, sometimes, as we talked about, there's a lot of over talking that has happened in the past. At all the boards I've ever seen, there's side conversations, sometimes people are talking, people in the audience. I mean, it gets crazy, so let's not do that anymore. I'm not calling any specific example of anyone, but let's just keep.
I think it's an important point. I think if we take a look at all the meetings with all the boards, my number one complaint is I come in, I ask for 2 minutes, and I get accosted in 30 seconds, and I'm not able to finish. It's happened on this board, it's happened on the select board, and I go home and say, well, what's going on?
Well, I can only hold this board accountable.
Right.
I can't-
No, but I'm just saying, it's not,
Yeah.
not pointing my fingers at anybody, I'm just saying it seems to be a tendency in this town.
And we also make sure that more people maybe wanna come to our meetings, because
Yeah.
who wants to come listen to yelling, you know,
Yeah,
unless
I
that's
don't.
exciting. You know, it can be a headache for people, so. So the only interrupted is very urgent, you know, emergency kind of situation. Only one thing, a motion can be discussed at a time, which we just kind of just went over that. Do you need me to go over this whole page, or are we good?
No, I'm good,
Anything
unless
about it?
anybody specifically wants to talk about any specific topic on the rules.
I mean, especially for us newer people, if we just look this over and, you know, make sure
It's always good practice.
to look it over, make
To
sure,
look at
or if
this.
you're visual, there's a flow chart.
Yep.
So, in the extemporaneous conversation, when somebody has a motion on floor or speaking, somebody wants to add something, or he should raise his hand to the chair and discuss it with the chair,
Yes,
not the person.
yes.
Unless the chair says, okay, we're gonna open this up, the conversation.
Right, and
Or
that's,
whatever.
that's up to the chair to do.
That's
We
right.
don't normally do that,
Right.
I think we should
But
adopt that.
I agree, that's what should
I
be.
think it's a big,
We haven't decided about hand raising though, but.
yeah, I mean, it's, that can be up for discussion, you know what I mean? I'm all for, I think we're close enough board, and there's not usually 50 people here yelling and screaming, and we can see kinda, fortunately, I couldn't see your hands, so I apologize.
Okay?
But
Well,
somebody.
somebody else over there can,
I think it's a good way to start.
Open discussion, yeah, open discussion is always good. I never really truly wanna make a decision without anybody's input, so I'm open for discussion, so. Does everybody else wanna, you wanna touch on anything else, Lisa, on this?
The things that I really cared about were at the top,
Okay.
that weren't obvious. Those are the ones I think that we've been egregiously guilty of. The rest just seems like common sense to me. Except what Dave brought up about things going through the chair, I think that will really have to pay us.
I think this is like, if you look on the second page, on the first page on the reverse side, you'll see 3/4 of the way down, you may interrupt the speaker for the reasons only. And I think these are important to follow for everybody, so if you ever have that want to interrupt, to get information about business, point of information, to get information about rules, parliamentary inquiry. if you can't hear, safety reasons, comfort, etc., question of privilege, if you see a breach of the rules, point of order, if you disagree with the president or the board's ruling, appeal, if you disagree with a call for unanimous consent, object.
Which I would like us to utilize that unanimous consent, instead of always having to say, I am trying to figure out if the chair does ask, if you feel that it's pretty much leading that way, you can ask for unanimous consent, and then that's just easier to know that everybody wants it. And then if nobody says anything when you say unanimous consent, then we know what it is.
I think anybody can make that motion.
Oh, okay.
I
thought it was just
could
the
stand
chair.
corrected. No, I think, you can interrupt any of the speakers. I'd have to double check that.
Okay.
Anybody else?
I'm not
Aware of that?
Only if we brought up a point of order or something's out key.
So I don't know if you guys talked about these two when I was outside, but, if you are tired of the current discussion, somebody can make a motion to limit debate to a set period of time. I like that.
Yeah, and I agree, and let's use the sign for a topic. I think we've beaten the sign thing to a pulp. I think the select board has beaten the sign stuff to the pulp. I think that if it comes back up, let's say hypothetically somebody brought it up tonight, you know what I mean, in old business, okay? And let's talk about it. I'm gonna say I'm gonna limit this discussion to 5 minutes, and we're just not gonna beat it.
And the next one's good too. If you have heard enough discussion, you move to close the debate.
You got Jim?
No, that's exactly what I was.
With that said, there's time limitations on people talking, correct?
Well, visitors for sure.
And also people on the board are generally allowed a certain amount of time, so you don't have someone just saying, I don't wanna talk about this, the debate's gonna end.
Yeah.
That's not fair.
I
You
think,
shouldn't be using the rules
yeah.
to stop people from participating in the sport, and that's what's been going on
Yeah.
for a long
I
time.
don't wanna hear, or I don't wanna put in something like, let's just utilize the topic of the sign again. Okay, let's say we're in a
You said you were gonna
discussion,
bring it up.
I know, but let's, just for the topic of discussion, and we're having a conversation about it, and you may have uncovered something that nobody has seen, okay? If we put a 5-minute discussion on that, but it takes a little bit longer, I hate to say you only have 5 minutes for that conversation, when you could say it could go a little bit over. The common sense is going to say, if you've got some legal stuff that's gonna take a little bit longer, you know, whatever the case may be, I think it's reasonable for the board to allow a little bit extra time just to make sure that everybody understands what's going on. So I'm okay with that. Does anybody else have anything else regarding
The thing I-
Robert's rules?
Yeah, on this, especially for a planning commission usually, we're specifically talking about a topic usually anyways for the whole thing. So I don't think it's really, unless it's the beginning of this stuff. I think the topics, the topic thing would probably be most of our meeting anyway. So I still, I like the rules. I don't like time limits, because that's why we're here to discuss the topic, right? And if it's only one topic of the day, like the sign rules, again, it is what it is. But then you have to,
Yeah, if we have multiple topics, I think, on the schedule for some certain reason, I think that we need to, we need to move forward, we need to
Right.
progress.
It's only an agenda, correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I'm just saying, like, if we were here for one topic, I think is what he's saying, but.
yeah,
But we have 3 topics today, so. So everybody else, is everybody good with meeting decorum and rules and what we're going to follow moving forward and what we've adopted? Awesome.
so are we gonna make a motion to adopt these rules?
Do we really need to? I mean, they're universal, right? I mean, I don't think we really need to.
I agree with Jim.
I mean, if you
Yeah.
move by, it can't hurt. I mean, I don't think we necessarily have to, but go ahead,
Make a motion.
Yeah.
Second.
Make a motion to accept the Robert's Rule of the simplified version that Lisa submitted today.
Second.
Discussion. You got it? All All those in favor?
I,
Okay.
There we go, motion passes.
Yep.
All right. Signed bylaw progress update.
Okay,
I would love to hear this.
so Lori did mail that to BC Oxley, the letter from the Conservation Commission that we signed on to and the select board signed on to. Lori, when did that get mailed?
About to Thursday.
Yeah.
I did do it Friday today.
Okay, so it's on its way. If you, just so I can jump in, it was kind of under new business, is it okay if I sort of just mention now? I'll be going as I'm the new, one of the new, Deb's continuing on as a commissioner, and I'm taking Dan's place this year as a commissioner. And there's a meeting on the 20th, so, it's gonna be about the, continuing to rewrite the regional plan, if anyone wants to go to that. So just because we're talking about the sign in DCRC, I just figured I'd put that out there.
do we have a second person going? Is that,
Deb is still
is still gonna do it?
there, so one of us will, if there's a vote that comes up, one of us will be able to
It's
vote.
right, one person votes.
I'll try and go to this one, because it's in Bennington, go in person. But I can send that to people, to let you know if you want to zoom in on it. Or attend.
I would be interested if you send it in,
I'll send everyone one.
just in case they had, want to have conversation.
Well, I talked to Cooper on Saturday this week, and he was very impressed with Stamford's showing in November. He was like, your town really brought it, so.
Windmills on
Yeah, what's our prize? What's our party favor for that?
No
Well,
windmills, maybe?
He didn't say they listened, and they said, well, going back to this letter, he said those letters really, they do pay attention to them, which I didn't know. I thought I was just writing this letter, it's gonna fall on deaf ears. And he's our representative, and he said, absolutely, he took a copy of it from me, and he said, vote these matter, they listen to you. So, and he's going to find out, I know I'm a little off topic here, but substantial deference, because he wasn't sure how much we really get and what that really means, so he's researching how many times has it ever been a case where there was substantial deference and it was overlooked, like the puck went past substantial deference. He's gonna look into that and get back to me on that. Or if it always holds, that'll be really interesting to know, because we do have substantial deference. Sorry, that was a little off topic.
No,
It's all together,
it's one big lot.
yeah.
Any other updates? No? All right, because that was
Just
sent
remind
out.
you, the 24th is our hearing.
Yeah, the 24th.
So it'll be just like another meeting,
Yeah,
just up open to the public. So
That's
we'll
open
see
to
the
the
same
public.
public.
yeah, it's a public hearing. So that might be a fast meeting, I'm not sure.
Otherwise, when we
I mean, the only
when we
thing-
did the full bylaws, I think there was maybe 2 people here.
The only thing that'll be on the agenda for that meeting will be that.
Sure, that's a traditional,
Yeah.
small,
So,
if not at all.
I mean, we did announce it at town meeting, so hopefully
Yes.
more people heard.
It's gotta be posted.
wasn't
Yes, it
it,
is.
Well, it's different requirements for public hearing, it's actually published in the newspaper.
right, and
The notice is sent to all surrounding towns, I mean, if you want me to put it out on the web, the email, I can do that. It's already on your calendar.
I don't think it could hurt. I don't think it could hurt.
And I can send you the thing for Stanford, all the
Yep.
places Stanford, yeah.
That's fine. Perfect. And I can forward it to the other one as well, to Damien.
Yeah.
Put on there, but I think it would be great to have on the website as well. We'll see.
Maybe we can put something out and ask people if they have any input on any bylaws, because we're gonna be looking at that, coming up soon.
I wouldn't open that can of worms yet.
I was just kind of thinking about that, and I was
That's how
like,
things
I
get.
think we might wanna wait till we
I
actually.
don't think you can in a public meeting, you know.
No, I don't think she.
No, not in public.
Oh, I got it.
Yeah, I think she just meant to put it out there.
Oh, right.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
like,
agenda
discuss it.
Yeah, I thought you meant at the hearing.
Yeah, that's what I
Oh,
thought.
okay, that's what I thought you
You
meant.
only just
Oh my
stick
gosh,
to
this is enough.
Alright. Next, current bylaw review, next steps.
Okay,
I guess that's where that last statement meant to be.
Okay, so, I'm not sure, I know there was some mention of water last meeting, but I wasn't sure if where that wanted to go, so I didn't put it on the agenda this time, so I wasn't clear what it
That's
sounded.
the conservation committee. Did
No,
we
it
end
was
up speaking
actually
about it?
here, we were talking about water, but it was kind of all over the place, so
Yeah,
I
I
couldn't
don't
really
remember.
pinpoint what.
I know in the conservation
I know,
meetings were
we're more
part of our agenda.
clear on it, but here, it was brought up by a few people,
Right,
and
yeah.
it wasn't enough to grasp on.
I don't remember what it was.
I think it got lumped in with, new, I think it was
Jim
either
brought up the
old or new
septic.
business, I think it came with, brain farts.
What they talk about the
Uh,
church or something?
The electricity, we
Oh,
got into the electricity, and then we started talking about setbacks, and then it all looped into, we don't have public water, we don't have
Right.
public sewer, I think it just kind of was like
Yeah,
a big long
a big
conversation.
lump of, jumbled mess.
I remember something about the church.
I think I
because
had
Jim
the
had brought
water
up
and
that
sewer,
the septic's still running into the river.
Right, gotcha.
Which probably the majority of the houses.
I just know, I didn't say it was, I was
Fire.
asking, I was inquiring in people here that have been here longer than my 9 years, is shit still flowing? Well, that's where the word came from.
Yeah, well, hey,
Is feces still flowing in the river?
Yes,
And that's the answer I got.
many houses.
Yeah, I mean, just from the house that.
So- So that's the problem. When we got addressed, really, it's the select board.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I agree, I will concur.
that's just farm talk, I don't call that swearing.
That's farm talk.
Yeah.
Alright, so, continue, go ahead, Lisa.
Okay, and then the last thing is, I gave everybody, Marie was kind enough to make us copies, but it's like a half-stick size, but in case you didn't have it. I'm sure everyone probably has a full-size version, but maybe you have with you tonight. And she also sent me this, which was, this is what the planning commission before us, at least before me, probably other people were working on. This is the stuff that I don't know what, there's dates on here when they were worked on. So various things that the planning commission has done in the past. I thought it was a total, it would be a waste just to throw away all the work that other boards have already done and just didn't proceed. So I thought we would look at it, doesn't mean we necessarily have to adopt it or anything, it's worth, perusing what they were thinking and perhaps picking up from it.
I think as a
So the
board,
ones in yellow are the ones you want to keep or you want to get rid of?
They changed them,
I think that was the change.
clean them up.
Right.
so I think for discussion purposes, I definitely think this needs to be on the next agenda. And I think it'd behoove everybody to read it, go through and kind of decide, like, hey, let's visit this subsection, let's visit this topic, and then we can have some open discussion, create a list, and see where we wanna go from there, rather than just kinda go all over the place, I think, I don't know, we took too much.
Did I break something?
But, like, for
Put a big
example,
chunk on.
I think that everybody
Sounds
should be,
good.
be given their minutes, like we could start down at the end of the table. Dan, what did you come up with? And if you came up with something, great, if you didn't,
Yeah.
move on. Sheila, what do you have? You know what I'm saying? And then move forward, we all bring this to a head, and then
I like the
we
look of that.
discussion right from the top, and decide where we're gonna go. What we think. I think to have some order would be, what is yours? Well, it looks like 20, like some of the stuff was like 23.
So,
So,
I agree.
that's right.
Well, the only, yeah, there it is.
So, yeah, sorry, so like, I think what she's saying, like, these are when stuff,
Right, so just to give a quick
Thank you for doing it.
background on that. After we,
correct,
We did-
Lori? Sorry, Dave, apologize.
that's right.
Yellow is what they wanted to change, but hadn't.
Meeting after meeting, as discussions were had, the suggestions were put in there after each meeting. So it's kind of an ongoing revision. There were never decisions made ultimately, but just discussions and ideas and things that people wanted to see in there. Some were taken out, most of it was put in. But everything is highlighted, and most of them have a date at the end of each thing.
Does the blue mean anything different? I'm just curious. I didn't know that was
Well,
blue.
yeah, because this change was suggested in December, and then this change was suggested in February. So they were
okay.
starting to go back and change their changes.
Okay.
A lot of this is dictated by the state, and when we did the town plan, Dan, you were involved with Jim revamping all the bylaws.
Yeah.
It was very lengthy, actually. This is probably the end result of it. The only thing I have to say about this is that whatever state has rules on some of these, you know what I mean, over like
Yeah.
septic or setbacks or,
Well, this
So we-
wasn't with BCRC sitting down and explaining the state changes. This was pretty much the board at the time implementing the suggestions they wanted to make.
okay.
That's all. So I don't know how much of that is really state or
Right, I don't either,
These are all suggested changes from
just from the.
the bylaws we all worked on
Yeah.
for years. Well,
So some of them might not be relevant anymore, or let's just look at it, I haven't
Yeah.
really.
You were involved in that too, Jim.
I know the driveway was a point of contention, it never got settled.
Alright, so maybe we want to pick out some of this work, and reinventing the wheel.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's fine, I agree myself. I think, for the purpose of the next meeting, I still think that we can utilize this as a starting point, but I still think we should get a group list of topics and things that we may want to address, and then we can break them down by meeting, so that we're not just all over the place. I think when we go in meeting to meeting about, you know, reviewing and redoing the bylaws, I think it's good to have some kind of order, so that we're just not like, oh, what do you got today? And then all of a sudden Dan's over there, it's just like, let's just pick apart what we got,
Yeah.
put what we need to talk about and discuss in that specific meeting, hash it out, move to the next one for the following meeting.
I will tell you, when I was the AO, my biggest frustration is that everybody in this room that sat at this table on the select board, the planning commission, anybody who was involved in the bylaws that had anything to do with the bylaws, never read the bylaws. They didn't know the bylaws. They read them and they knew some of them here and there, but they really didn't. There's a select few people, maybe a couple of them sitting here in the room, that did. But the select board, absolutely not. They had no idea what was in the bylaws. So, to change the bylaws is like, I would suggest that we don't just, because it looks bad, we don't just do that, because there's been some pretty important people that had looked at these, and it's gone through the scrutiny of BCRC with Jim Sullivan and that whole crew, and then it had to be proved from them, and then, of course, the state. So, I'm not a fan of changing what we have, but I would suggest that maybe we get our AO in here and say, hey, are you having any issues with anything? Or what would you like to see changed? How can we make your job easier? How can we work together to make the community easier, right?
It might benefit us for the next meeting when we're having this open discussion about which things we want to address.
Right.
And not necessarily change, but maybe some things that we may wanna clean up.
Yeah.
I think it would probably be a good idea to have her or anybody else that may have some questions or things on other boards. Who may not necessarily be able to help or be wanting to help, but I guess it can be left open for somebody from another board to come in and say, hey, we're working on this, because we may not be privy to what's happening on the conservation committee, although I will be soon. Moving, I don't know now kind of what's going on and what has been going on. So it'll be interesting to see kind of where we can, I think it's time that we all begin to work together.
Exactly.
And move forward with this now, like enough of there's enough separation.
So these guys here on the ZBA, they have seen some things throughout the last few years. Maybe they can come forward with a few things that they'd like to see changed on, because they've had to hear it, see it. One of the big things is a sign, of course, that's getting rectified, but still, getting our people to understand the bylaws and know the bylaws, right? I mean, know the setbacks, know the wetlands and maybe even the phone numbers to call to ask the questions, right? And maybe, as board members here, we're all capable of calling, VLCT. You can call them, but they're not gonna answer anything on the telephone. You're gonna have to email. So when somebody comes in and says, hey, I just talked to somebody from VLCT, and this is what they said. Well, show me the email. All right, so that's how they talk to people.
They generally don't like.
They don't get paid
Anyway.
unless they have the documentation. So, anyways, that's, I'm done.
So, any communication that I've had with them, regardless of when I was on this board, or not, they tend to divert, to the select board, to be honest with you. And so they don't.
They answered
they
me.
don't- They've answered me, but in a kind of like skirt around. They don't wanna really.
The way
get
lawyers
everything.
answer
Yeah.
questions.
Yeah. So, and I get it, I do, I get it, okay, but they wanna hear from the select board, the people that manage it, you know what I mean, like, so, I get it, but I encourage anybody and everybody, if they need to make that phone call and make it, it doesn't hurt one bit. Maybe frustrating a little bit, but it doesn't hurt.
In the past, I used them heavily over 25 years, but I found many times they would give you information that wasn't wrong, but it wasn't right, and had to go to the town lawyer and ask the question. The town lawyers we've had in the past were very good, they never charged us a penny. I have not talked to a lawyer in 7 years, but in regards to the ZBA, to Jim's point, the ZBA has to follow the law. So everybody in this town thinking that we're trying to make all these judgments, we have to follow the law. It's as simple as that. And as far as the AO goes, when Ron Platt was here, he came to every planning commission meeting because we're responsible for the AO. This board is responsible. And that's why I told you when you first came on, you needed to come to the board because if there was any issues. Of course, I was out when the other guy let the sign go without the permit, and when I came back, all broken loose, but, you know, things. But the bottom line is, as long as I think we're open, I always would like, I think, that if anybody would be asking the VLCT anything, they should okay it with the chair, so the board knows what's going on. There's not a lot.
I agree, I think that if somebody's gonna make the call, we should simply give the courtesy, say, listen, I'm just reaching out to the VLCT.
Yeah, so we know what's going on.
It's civil tax, I don't care what it is, you know, just so that I know that I don't know, someone get an email or something, and something.
You're not blindsided by something you don't
I don't know
know.
what the heck you're talking about, but.
Or multiple people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did have a question.
Yep.
Jim said that it's been they've come to an answer of how they can put that sign up out there now. Was, you know, looked over and a lot of these were changed so that they would recommend the sign to be put up, the big sign again,
I think.
or isn't it?
No,
I don't know, I just the way you said it,
A
and it went
sign
on and
has
on
been
and it's
approved.
gone.
The
No,
only sign.
it's, when I make a statement that I was making, there's no sign that I know of that's going back up or being designed, or I don't know any measurements, I don't know who's involved with any of that. I was simply trying to save a whole bunch of people a whole lot of trouble, but I was poo-pooed, but that's over, it's done with. So it was a mistake of the setback, basically, that's all it was. But again, I'm going back to Title 10, Chapter 495,
Yes.
works
And
in.
that's a whole nother discussion, because I think it's much more involved in Title 10. And that's what I tried to bring to you people. And
Well, either way.
where it stands now, you voted, and there's nothing I really can say anymore, and I'm not gonna say
But I don't think-
But I'm warning you ahead of time.
Didn't
We're
the
gonna
select board and everybody already have an approval for a sign design?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, so, and regardless.
Smaller
of-
sign,
yeah,
it's all
regardless-
set.
Regardless if somebody's putting it up, it's being built currently, I don't know where that
Yeah, no
is.
idea.
Well,
You know what I
Doug would be
mean?
able to tell us about it. the
I don't
sign,
know right now,
John
the last I
Dunn.
knew, I think John was handling a lot of that, he came
Yeah,
up with
because
this.
John Dunn made another sign.
Right,
I'm a big advocate of getting the AOT down and the people up in the state, it's a scenic highway, it's very strict, we'll get them down here and ask them what we can do. This is what we're gonna do, are we good? And when they say we're good, then it's over, it's done.
Do you think that the select board should be doing that?
Yeah.
Requesting that? Yeah.
Yes,
Well, the sign bylaws
yeah.
don't.
absolutely.
Right, but my whole point is what they've already approved. You know, at the site, again, we don't know if the site's actually been built or made, but there is an approval for a sign. And that may be something, I'm assuming, I was like to believe that the board has done their due diligence, I can't speak for the select board, I don't know. You know,
I know it's, he's got the sign made.
I have a point of order here.
John Dunn.
This is like,
Sign.
this is sign. Excuse my French again, but
No,
I
I'm
did it
doing
twice.
it again.
I don't,
Sign.
Slap his fingers.
Listen, I think the discussion is good because we're gonna be having other discussions and
fine.
nobody's criticizing anything other than,
Just opening up.
let's make sure we know the laws so that we're not breaking down signs again, that's all I've said right along. For anything that we do, let's make sure we know what we're doing,
for sure.
okay?
So Pete, were you saying that we should look through the entire bylaw? but not
I think
just-
people should, not only, this should be a starting point for everybody, for us to be able to revisit, but I also think that everybody, I mean, I've read the town plan and everything, and I'm still reading it over and over, because some things I'm just not retaining that way, and I'm still reading and reading, so, again, it doesn't hurt to reread it, so, I mean, you've been reading it for 30 years, I've been reading it for a year, no, 2 years, but, you know, I still got a lot to learn in that town plan, it just is what it is, I mean, anybody who reads it once and has it, God bless you.
You'll be doing it again by the time we finish.
Yeah, so, I think that should make some notes, make some highlights and stuff maybe within a copy of your town plan that you may have. If you don't have a copy of the town plan, you can visit Lori, she, I'm sure, would be more than happy to. If she is unavailable, I'm sure that me or Lisa could get copies of the town plan for everybody if you need it. If they come to the meeting.
It's
yeah.
online,
But I'm
you can
just
just
saying, you know,
print it out, okay.
Yeah, you know, print it or whatever the case may be. And then let's just start.
Do you
Sit
wanna
down
look
and
at the town
create a
plan
list.
and the zoning bylaws, or do you wanna look at one?
I wanna go through, if we wanna change anything in the town, our town plan first, I wanna just look. I'm not saying we're going to, I'm not saying we're gonna revisit it, but I think we should look and make sure, because there is some stuff in there that people have addressed in prior meetings, and I don't think it hurts for everybody to take a peek, and if there's nothing, great, and then the zoning bylaws are the big, that we should be creating a list for, so.
I just would, go ahead, Dan, I'm sorry.
Laurie, do you know when the town plan is due to be redone?
You know, I was just thinking that in my head,
Every 8 years, right?
It's every 5 years.
These are eight.
5 to 7, yeah.
Yeah, but we're right there, like,
Yeah.
2 or 3 years away,
You
right?
need to start
We can start a
a
couple.
couple of years ahead.
Yeah.
The last time around, just so you know, ECRC came down, handed us this big thing. And we went,
usually you get a grant, because it costs
Yeah.
a good amount of money, and the DCRC goes through it with you guys and does it, so.
I think Dan and I have been involved in 3 town plans, and just on that point, I would like to say, as we talk about what this board is gonna wanna take a look at and do, I think we need to just take a step back and see what's done. Some of the important thing was FEMA. We didn't have, our FEMA insurance was in jeopardy. We spent a whole year just on FEMA. And those laws are such that people are using day in and day out, they can't build in the floodplain, but we set it up so you can. But it's a special process. And if anybody's ever interested in wanting to know how that's done, they can come talk to me. But Dan and I set that up so that, you know, you drag up from near the river, you elevate up. As long as you're lowering and raising, you can. And that's important for commercial stuff, that someday the town may need something and they can't because everything's in the floodplain in this town practically, and, you know, along 800. So that was one very important thing. The other thing we did, we had to do the bylaws to get in line with the state. If we couldn't get things straightened out with the state, we had too many things that were in conflict. because the state override, so we got that done. And then the third thing was, well, we spent a lot of time on the windmills over the last year, but, you know, that isn't the first time that we spent a lot, you know, way before, the windmills came in before, and we had to go through a lot of time, but I'm missing something here.
Yes. We had 3 different ways of people can do with their property. And I went to them and I said, wait a minute, you're not giving me that, There's gotta be more plans than what you got. Ended up being 5 of them. And we went with the 5th one because that meant, yeah, you can take and build wherever you want, but you go to the state, have them come in and look it over. Then when they pass you, you go to this town and you go through their ways. A lot of people were able to build things in a better area than money saying that, no, the state would go. And that's how VCRC,
Yeah, I think there's a
that's
lot
when we
more
found
to it.
out that they had
The
5
only
different
reason I'm bringing
ones.
it up is because I'm here, I watch all the videos and everything, and I'm hearing too many people saying you can't build in a floodplain. Dead for
I
sure.
think there's.
They just don't know the laws. I mean, we put it together and we had the state approval.
I just don't think that it's as cut and dry as a floodplain. I think there's other factors, like for example, I need 2 acres to build. So I'm in the floodplain and the property that I built.
I'm
next to.
strictly talking about the floodplain, right?
Right,
This
right.
town has a whole,
Yeah.
right, we did that with septic and water. But actually, the state, you know, to do off the wall, and that's another thing. I don't mean to get on it, but Nancy's saying we can't make a profit. I have the data, I'm gonna bring it to the select board, I'm gonna show them how I sold 77 lots, almost 25 years ago at a profit. And then had a subsequent auction that I was the auctioneer and sold another as a certified appraiser, broker for 30 years in real estate. And, you know, I've been around, I know the game, and it's just so much information. We're giving these things away for $500 when we should be getting 5,000, 10,000.
I don't disagree with you, I don't.
No, I'm just telling you,
Let's
it's,
let's just get that,
but
let's reel back in.
it's
I get
important.
it. I don't disagree,
Yeah.
but for the sake of
Yeah, go
this
ahead.
meeting, let's.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so, do we have any old business that anybody would like to speak of? No, great, any new business? And,
Well,
No, it relate to the town, this is the planning commission, but we're gonna be having our first meeting for the resiliency fair, coming up here pretty quick, so anybody wants to be on the team with us, let Lisa know. Give her your email.
are you putting this stuff out on all the other sites or whatever?
Oh, yeah, we
Okay, I think I saw it, but I just.
we haven't had our first meeting yet, it's gonna be this month sometime. And, we got 2 new people, wanna be on the team.
Are we still gonna have music?
Huh? Oh, that's right, my son's band is, I booked them last Saturday, they're gonna play at lunch and then they're gonna play afterwards.
Which will be it's gonna be a community meal this time, so we all sit and break bread together, rather than just slap it together and go, you know,
Yeah,
no.
nice.
it's Irish folk, they throw in some country music too. It's good. Well, you guys saw them, Laurie did.
Sounds good to me.
That's great.
All right, any other new business? Speak now for a vote of peace. Outstanding.
Do you wanna set the agenda for this
Yes.
weekend?
Before we do that, I was just kidding. That was a
Right
good
before you,
one. We definitely, the current bylaw review, is, I think we need to have the current bylaws.
I thought you wanted the town plan first.
Well, I think everybody needs to look at both. Again, I think the starting point and the focal point should be what's already been started, and we can start there. But I think everybody should be reviewing and coming with ideas and things that they may want to discuss, so we can create a list, so that moving forward, we can go topic by topic, and meeting by meeting. I think would be in the best interest of moving time and things forward, so.
Keep in mind that these highlighted things were the views of
Yes.
last year, the views of past, okay?
Right.
I would suggest look at the bylaws, read the bylaws
Right.
first, before you read this, and it's just to try to figure out yourself
Yeah.
why. You know, why do they wanna change that? We don't know.
why did it stall?
And why did it stop?
Things to talk about, you
I
know?
mean, it could be that it's expensive to amend the bylaw, that's a guess. It could be.
No, it's
Didn't
just,
someone tell me that was
it's
on?
really hard. I mean, these guys will tell you, we sat here for what, 4 times, twice a week or something like that for,
For the.
it was 2 years. It was
2 years.
crazy.
Right, what I'm saying is, he asked why these changes, if I heard you right, weren't made. And I think it's because we can't just go willy-nilly, every time we wanna change one thing, put it in the newspaper, that's $250, you know, and.
Yeah, no, I was
We don't
just,
have the money.
I think I was just simply stating like, not necessarily a question of why, but just as a statement, by just saying simply, you know, let's bring up the topic of discussion, like, why did they stall, why did they not go forward? That way we have a better idea of why we're still here and not in.
Where do we,
You know what I mean? So, but it'll be good for us that have just come on to understand why they're still kind of sitting here.
I mean, I think they just are going on and
Filtered
they
out.
got wrapped up in definitions and roads and never really got to the meat and potatoes of the bylaws.
Well, the windmills do everything.
Yeah.
Then the windmills came and everything came to a screeching
Right,
halt and then.
exactly.
Yeah.
Makes sense. That would
Yeah.
make total sense.
Maybe we, send an invitation to Deb to see if she'll come.
Yeah.
Well,
That'd be nice.
ask her to come.
Mhm.
I mean, I think it's important that she's input.
Sure, absolutely. Sounds good. I mean, if you don't, if you're busy, I can do it, or you can definitely do it. I'm not gonna cry.
I think I'm supposed to.
The other thing is I feel like it's probably a good idea as we are reading the town plan and the zoning bylaws to keep in mind some of the changes that are coming. Because Act 250 is changing and also the state in general is making a huge push for increasing development. So as we sort of try to preserve our, the flavor of our town, our rural, whatever, I think it's probably also important to see if there are some things, I mean, I just glanced, through this, but the whole, idea of, for example, the private road or the driveway next to you guys, and then the question of how many times can you have other things going off that? Here it has something, serving 3 parcels, but that can become a serpentine situation, and then suddenly there's a development next to your property where,
Well, initially, I think I was talking with a member of the select board in this moment, but just for the sake of conversation, I think when you were in here last time, we were discussing where roads went and where roads were meant to continue to go. And then some private roads that were supposed to be private and are now maintained by the town. So, for example, what is the road that's right above?
Sparrow Drive. Sparrow Drive.
Sparrow Drive, initially created, if I heard correctly, was initially created as a private
Right,
way and turned into
town road.
maintained by the town. So, we definitely need to because again, that's the last thing that we truly want. Our guys don't need to be doing any more crazy roads, they do enough, trying to maintain just up where you guys live, where everybody, like, you still got like 37 feet at your house.
I saw that picture.
I think that's something, again, I'm on board with that.
Yeah,
I
just
think,
keeping
again, I
it
think
in
we all,
mind.
let's just, let's focus on discussion for the next board in terms of what we can find and what we gather, and then we'll put our next meeting.
And I also just add, I'll update everybody with the BCRC.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely would love to hear that for sure, because he wants to, Dave wants to possibly attend as well. So,
So
I don't
I
know if you're attending also, or who's
I
attending.
don't know, I got booted, I guess.
mean, you can always go as a town
Oh, I know.
citizen.
You weren't last year, you weren't even
I thought I was still on, that's why I went to the last meeting.
You were alternate.
You
That's what
took me
they
out.
said, you were alternate.
Yeah, I thought about internet. I'm talking about
It
joining.
used to be me and
Internet.
Devin.
That's what I did last time with Lisa.
Perfect, either way, you're sending out the link, right? So
You'll set up the link, yeah.
you'll send out the link.
Yeah, I will send the link to everybody.
Perfect, so yes, we'll have in there. What do we want to put it as? We can put it as informational regarding the bylaws, so that we take in all the information that we can. And then we'll also have an update.
So just those two things.
Yep.
And will we keep the meetings to be the second, yeah,
Second Monday. of the
second Monday of every month,
Yeah,
basically, unless otherwise?
does anybody have
Same
any
time and
input?
date.
Anybody have any input on that? Is the normal time, this time normally good, the second Monday in
I'm good.
every month?
Do we need to make a motion about that?
No,
I think it just
I don't
stays.
know about that time, I know, emergency management, we're starting to go, I think it's every Monday of the month, isn't it, at the beginning?
I don't know the emergency.
Bob didn't give you any paperwork?
Well, Sheila, we do the second on Monday, like we do now.
We'll try it, and I'll ask Bob what his dates are gonna be, and I'll know if I can get here. That way you wanna know?
Yeah.
Are you, your meeting's the first of the month?
We'll just keep it the same.
Well, it depends, sometimes the state comes down and it's here, right? But there's other times that they aren't.
Thursday.
So even the first and third Mondays
So
kind of. Well, but you're
let's
not
stick
part
with
of
the second month for this month, this coming month.
Yeah.
And then if I have to, I'll tell you, I can't do that. I'll find out for sure from Bob.
Dan, can you tell me what the date is, please, for the next meeting then? The second Monday in April?
It's the 14th.
Oh,
And
Tuesday the
just
second?
the 14th.
Second, something
Yeah, it's
Monday.
the 14th, and
The
just,
12th.
12.
just as a, an up there
Oh, wait,
for you,
where'd April go?
it's the 14th.
They're like going on your finger.
Everybody's in a rush to get to summer.
Go some of your finger.
Just so that everybody's aware,
No, it's still
I'm
there.
not gonna be here.
I'm there, I'm back
Just
to
so
that
that you're
April.
aware.
I'm sorry?
I'm
Yeah,
not
it's
gonna
the
be here for
14th.
meeting. I'm actually out of the state.
On the
We'll
14th.
talk.
Just so that you're aware. So, but Sheila, either way, you're gonna be here that meeting, correct?
Pardon?
You're gonna be here that meeting, which is the 14th, the next meeting.
April 14th.
So far, what you're saying is as of right now,
That
you're
would
gonna
be
be
in
in.
April.
So she'll have the key to enter, because I'm not checking that out. No offense, but I ain't losing a G.
And I just did it
We're all
because
gonna see each
Yeah.
other
I
on
had
the
the key for
24th
my
for
own
the town.
other thing.
Which is fine, which works out pretty
Now,
good.
What day
You
is
know,
that?
but like I said, I was running 104 feet, and I'd be more than happy to come sit like that, well, like y'all have. but
So,
The town, I was just trying to do a town open meeting for the
Any-
sign. because
yeah.
it's
Look at this. Here. You can't have it, I gotta set that.
yeah, it's right there. Isn't it? You have it?
No,
Oh,
it's
this is,
different,
It's Monday,
it's different.
The hearing,
no, it's the open meeting for the town.
Motion to adjourn.
We'll probably have it right, we'll
Yeah,
probably
this
have
was-
it right in
you
here.
can tell that this was
It's the
created
sign meeting for
for
the
a
town.
private
common.
way.
It's been out for
Lisa.
many years,
Oh, yeah,
it is the hearing.
yes,
Right.
many
I
years.
mean 1998, we're
So
talking
something
almost
else.
30.
Write it down.
But this is what the fire department taught us.
Yeah.
I'm writing it
But I
down.
mean, if David
I'm
was
sure
here,
it'll be-
he'd tell you, and I remember being
Yeah,
on the
it's
select board
unless
about it,
we
is,
get it.
you got a private road, and you want the town to take it
Oh, that's
over,
good for the.
you gotta build that up in town specs.
I'm sure it's different now as opposed to back then, it was a little bit different.
Massively expensive.
You're gonna buy.
Let's get, so I'm not gonna be here, just to be clarified for the next meeting.
And what about the 24th?
The 14th,
Okay.
the 14th of April.
You'll be here for the meeting for the,
Okay.
The 14th.
The public meeting
for the sign.
Yeah.
We got something at the 24th.
Correct, yes. So let's go ahead and make a
We did.
motion to adjourn, all set?
Jim did, I seconded.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Very good. Good meeting. Good job.
Remember sparrows.
Good job.
The sparrows.
Listen.
go by, the
Turns off.
case, and see if road that goes up on the left.
On the left, yeah, yeah.